Hello and welcome to the West Ham Transfer Rumours Show and news. There's a bit of news in this one. West Ham have officially signed someone. We'll get on to him in just a little bit. We're going to start with some rumours though, but this show comes with a little bit of a twist. We're only featuring potential incomings, the players that are being linked with a move to West Ham in the summer. We're not discussing any potential outgoings. We've done Paqueta, we've done Kedder, there's a handful of it. We're only going to feature the players that might be joining West Ham according to reports in the media. I'm going to kick it off with the main one, which is Denis Zakaria. Now, we've actually been linked to the Juventus midfielder for a couple of weeks now, but the latest reports are that West Ham have submitted a bid worth €18 million for the 26-year-old midfielder. Now, that would meet, according to reports, Juventus' asking price. So this is where it's starting to get interesting, because the reports also suggest that Juventus sporting director Giovanni Manna is set to fly to London this weekend in order to get this deal complete. Juve sporting directors travelling to West Ham to try and get this deal through, according to the media in Italy. Now, this is the interesting thing with this transfer rumour. It's been the Italian press that's reporting everything. They've been first to everything from the start. So a couple of weeks ago, when we were initially interested in Zakaria, the Italians were reporting it. Earlier this week, apparently we made a €13 million bid. It came out in Italy. During the week, negotiations were going on, and the latest ones, like I said, €80 million bid, sporting director on his way. Italy. They've been the ones that's first to this news from the start. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because if we rewind to 12 months ago when we were after Gianluca Scamacca, it was Italians once again reporting everything first. It was Di Marzio. He was all over it, so much so that he was submitting photographs of Scamacca in the airport next to Rob Newman. But the Italians were all over it. So it's not necessarily a bad thing that they're the ones leading with this transfer rumour on West Ham's pursuit of Denis Zakaria. And this is where we wait for our West Ham trusted sources, our journalists say, well, can we get confirmation from you? And that's where the roles change. And I don't mind that. I think sometimes they get a little bit too caught up on I was first and they lose sight of I was correct. And I think the latter is much more important. And this is where a journalist's role just changes. So the Italians are reporting something, and it's up to our journalists to take that and go get it verified with their sources. Say, hey, this has been reported in Italy. Any truth? And then they give us their update, which is can confirm West Ham are after Zakaria. There's a lack of that going on at the minute. It's quite half committed, which is West Ham are interested in Zakaria, and that's all that's been said really. So it's hard to really believe this one as such, but I'm certainly watching with interest and hope, because I think it would be a good signing for West Ham. 26 years of age is a good age. He's got really good experience for that age as well with his international football, European football. And £15 million, it feels quite cheap. It feels like there's a lot of value in that transfer for West Ham, actually, especially when you consider Flynn Downs was 10 million. We bought a player from the Championship for 10 million, and now we get a player with that much experience and ability for 5 million more. I think this would be a great deal for West Ham. I think it would be quite a astute signing, in terms of ability, that he would feature in the first team heavily next season for 15 million, and it would leave a lot of wiggle room with the remaining budget, I assume, in order to upgrade elsewhere, to reinvest in the team. Obviously, we still need that Declan Rice replacement with the money that's left over. But I think 15 million is really good value for Zakaria, actually. So I'm trying to not get too excited because of the lack of confirmation, if you like. But there's a part of me that's hoping that this is true. Anyway, on to today's new rumour, which is Max Aarons of Norwich City. You all know who he is, the right back. He's been at Norwich since he was 16 years old. He's been in the first team since he was about 17 years old, I think. It was him and Jamal Lewis, weren't it? But Norwich have been a bit of a yo-yo team, which I think has hindered Max Aarons' progression. Now, when I seen us linked to him today, it felt a little underwhelming. I felt there's better options out there for right backs if we're in the market for one, and I still feel like that. But in regards to what we're getting as a package and the value, again, I think there's a bit of value in purchasing Max Aarons. It still has that feeling of being a little bit, because does he get in ahead of Soufal? I'm not convinced. It depends which Soufal turns up as well as which Max Aarons turns up. But we're talking about the first half of last season, then Aarons would get in ahead of him. But we're talking about the second half, post-World Cup Soufal, then I don't think he does. I think Soufal was in good nick last season. But I guess the question is he an upgrade on Soufal, or is he meant to be an upgrade on Soufal? Don't know. or is he an upgrade on Ben Johnson? And you would suggest yes at this point because of the way that Johnson's season finished, although he is having a good campaign this summer with England, which is really pleasing to see. And that's what we, West Ham, that's what we need. We need Johnson to have a good break with England, get his confidence back up, and hopefully have... Listen, a year ago when we were going into the season, I was quite hopeful for Ben Johnson having not a breakthrough season, but something like that where he establishes himself as a real first team squad member, and I don't think he did that. But anyway, Max Aarons, 23 years old. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I thought he was older. It feels like he's been 23 for about 3 seasons now. But good age, homegrown, only a year left on his contract. His evaluation in the press is between 5 and 10 million, low cost. I can see the merit in this transfer should it be true. I get why we'd be going for him. And I think he's a victim of Norwich City being a yo-yo club, first of all. That doesn't help, playing Premier League Championship. So he's got 2 relegations on his CV. But he's also been priced out of a move as well. When the first time Norwich went down with him and Jamal Lewis, and obviously Lewis ended up getting his move to Newcastle, which hasn't really worked out for him, which I think, weirdly, has potentially put people off Max Aarons. Because if you look at Lewis getting his move to Newcastle, who at the time were not where they are now, and he's struggled a bit to make an impact, and he's been very unfortunate with injuries, but the impact hasn't quite worked out. It felt like a really good signing for Newcastle. I don't know if you could say that now, but because of that, I wonder if it's maybe put a couple of teams off going after Max Aarons, thinking, well, actually, I don't know, look how Lewis has turned out, it's not been great. I think he's a player that has potential. There's a lot of potential in there, and I think a move away from Norwich would do him the world of good. He's been there for 7 years now. I think a new club, fresh start, new coaches, new manager at the Premier League level as well. I think there's something to be unlocked, and I'd be quite optimistic about the signing without being blown away, if that makes sense. I'm certainly not against it. I just won't be doing cartwheels because I think there's an element of risk there because we don't know if he's good enough to knock Soufal out the team. But for 5-10 million and he's homegrown, we need to look after that homegrown numbers a little bit. Obviously, we're losing Declan Rice as well. You know, certain somebody's been, hey, we're not doing outgoings. There's a certain somebody that's homegrown that's been linked with the move away who plays in Max Aarons' position. So we might need to look after that column. So I think it would be a wise move because it's difficult to buy homegrown players, especially attacking players. They tend to go up by 10 million if you're a homegrown attacking player. Well, actually, speaking of that, let's get on to him. Alex Scott. We're still linked to him, which is really promising. But the rumours are this week from ex-West Ham employee is that we have began talks with Bristol City. Now, there's obviously a lot of competition for him. There will be a lot of clubs monitoring. There'll be a lot of clubs waiting for someone like West Ham to go first and start negotiations. And then once the price is public, I think there'll be a few other clubs that jump in. Because at 22 million, which is apparently the price that Bristol City are looking for, it's a bit of a no-brainer for me. This guy looks like he's got it all. He's going to make a step up. He could be an elite player in the Premier League in a few seasons to come. Now, the likes of Man City and that can stand back and say, nah, we're not getting involved. We're going to let West Ham buy him, and then we'll come in. Once you've developed him, turned him into a Premier League club, we'll come and get him, and we'll just spend 60 million. We're all right doing that. So those clubs, I think, will stay away from this one. That's why I was kind of glad Tottenham bought James Maddison, because I thought, great, because Spurs were linked to Alex Scott quite a lot, and I thought, that's maybe the club he'll go to. But now they've got Maddison, I'm hoping that puts them off getting Alex Scott, which means the likes of us, Aston Villa, seen them linked to him as well. That's where it becomes a bit of a battle. I pray we get this kid. I really, really do. I think, like I said, at the minute, I don't feel we've got a replacement for Paqueta. I know people use Fornals. I'm not too sure it's the same job. Whereas I think Scott can deliver that a little bit. Cover out in the left side position as well. Very versatile, can play in numerous positions, which isn't always great for a 19-year-old. I think you want to have one definitive position that's yours. But I think the talent he's got is superb for that age, and the potential is unbelievable. So get Guernsey Grealish to West Ham now. Anyway, we've got plenty more to get through before I do. If you are watching this for the first time or you just linger, please do subscribe. Click that big red button under your screen. It takes a couple of seconds, completely free, helps your channel out. And also, please do drop a like on the video as well. Thank you very much. Now, the next one, let me refer to my notepad, and apologies for butchering this name. It is Keisuke Goto, 18-year-old Japanese striker from Jubilo Iwata. 5 goals in 17. Now, in order to believe this transfer rumour, you have to believe that Tim Steidten is West Ham's new technical director. I believe strongly, 100%, well, let me backtrack. I believe 99% that Tim Steidten is West Ham's new technical director. At the time of record, it's not been announced yet, but I'm very, very confident he is. And I think you have to believe that in order to believe transfer rumours like this, because this is why we're bringing in a new technical director to go and try and find these players. Now, if we were to be after him and we were to sign him, we wouldn't see him for a couple of seasons. I know nothing about him, never heard of him, although I did read a couple of posts about him from somebody that creates these sort of like analytics threads and stuff, and his numbers look okay, especially for an 18-year-old, and they were sort of trying to convince the reader that there's a lot of talent in this player and whoever gets him is going to be onto something good. But I would get excited about him just based on Steidten's success rate at bringing in youngsters. One or two big obvious ones at Leverkusen as well. But this is what we want to see, you know. So would we see him? No, we'd buy him, write him off for a couple of years, loan him out, whatever, and then we'll see him. So to believe that one, you've got to believe the Steidten. Now, Edson Alvarez has had a little bit of a twist, hasn't it, in the last 24 hours? Ajax defensive midfielder. West Ham were, apparently he was supposed to be our number 1 target, but he preferred Dortmund over West Ham. It happens, not the end of the world. But yesterday it came out that Dortmund have pulled out for the race. Now, not only is this a rumour, it's been reported by the likes of Fabrizio Romano, who has, of course, been all over the Declan Rice one. And he's saying that Dortmund's pulled out, that they've now decided they're just going to use Emre Can in that defensive midfield role, so they don't need somebody to come in, and they're going to use the money elsewhere to get a different type of midfielder in, because obviously they've just lost Bellingham. Which means Alvarez is now in a little bit of a pickle, isn't he? He either stays at Ajax, or he goes somewhere else. And there was only 2 big clubs really linked to him, us and Dortmund. One of them's out the race. Ironically, it's a little bit like the Declan Rice thing with Man City, Arsenal. Man City pull out, it's only Arsenal left now. There's a little bit of that going on. Be interesting to see whether we are genuinely interested in him, or whether it's just media talk in order to try and get Dortmund to bid for him. And if we are we going to pay the money that they're wanting? It was about 30 million. I could be wrong. I think it was about 30 million, so it's not cheap. But I do think he's a really, really good player. And if you were to say 45 million for Zakaria and Alvarez, I think that's 2 really good signings. Like I said, you throw in Alex Scott in there, all of a sudden you're talking about 60. Let's just round it up a little bit. 70 million for those 3 players. That is a fantastic purchase in those 3. That 3 would be a fantastic combination for that amount of money. I actually hope there is something in the Alvarez thing. I do like him as a player. Is he the answer? I don't think anyone is. I don't know. I'm not convinced that there is the correct answer. And this is why I'm convinced, and many others are convinced, that we need 2 players, because Declan Rice did the job of 2 players. Alvarez would certainly cover the defensive aspect of it, but not the sort of box-to-box part. But anyway, Dortmund's pulled out, so will West Ham go back in and took a 1-horse race if we do? So it feels like we maybe got a clean run at him. One player that won't be joining West Ham is Gyökeres, Coventry City striker. He is off to Sporting, 21 million euros. We were linked to him quite a bit towards the end of the season, sort of the next Antonio kind of thing, and I can understand why. There's a lot of similarities in their play. So we were linked to him for quite a bit, and there was almost an expectation that we were going to get involved in the bidding when it became evident that he was leaving Coventry this summer. But to my knowledge, I haven't seen any reports that we didn't even make a bid. We weren't even interested. So he's off to Portugal. So that's one player that won't be coming to West Ham this summer. One player that is, though, is Sean Moore. West Ham confirmed earlier today they've signed the winger from Cliftonville, the Northern Irish side. Represents Republic of Ireland, though. A 3-year contract for him, goes into the under-21 squads. Again, not someone we're going to see, but that's okay. I like this. I like the fact that we're signing youngsters for the academy. Sean Moore himself spoke about how he spoke to Josh Briggs, Callum Marshall, Patrick Kelly, spoken to those players, and that's why he's come to West Ham, because of what he's heard from them. But he also stated that there's a clear pathway from the academy to the first team. Now, I think you would struggle to make that case looking at the evidence. Mbama's had a few minutes, and obviously some of the academy players have had minutes in, well, let's just call it dead rubber games, because that's what it is. When they play the last game in the European campaign of a group we've already won, it's hard to really make a case for it. But Mark Noble's all over this. So is Kenny Brown, but Mark Noble's all over. He's there in the pictures and stuff, and you would just imagine what Mark Noble has said is perhaps key, because I know of someone who's a parent of someone in the under-21 squad and under-18 squad, without giving away too much. And when Mark Noble became sporting director, there has been an uplift in, what's the motivation, maybe enthusiasm or belief. Belief's probably the right word. There's been an uplift in belief that actually they can get into the first team at West Ham now, and that perhaps wasn't there before Noble became sporting director. So in the last 6 months, he's had a real impact in the youth team, believing they're going to get a chance at West Ham should they succeed and should they be good enough. Now, I appreciate people are going to come back with counter arguments. I get it. I get it. But we're talking long term here. Noble is we're not bringing in these players to play for West Ham's senior team this season or next season. We're looking at 3 years down the line kind of thing. That's a lot of time to change a lot of things in order to make that pathway available for. But it's a good signing. I've seen a lot of the Cliftonville fans underneath the post about him joining, sort of wishing him luck, but also saying that West Ham got a really good player on their hands here. Young player of the season last season in the league, was in the Premiership team of the season as well. So we've also got a little bit of talent there, and the successes of Marshall and Kelly in particular. Can't help but think that this is a good move from West Ham, despite not knowing anything about him. Jonathan Tah, Leverkusen centre-back. It's a bit of an obvious one, this link. It's a bit of an obvious one, given Steidten. Again, you have to believe Steidten's coming in order to believe this. But should he be arriving? A really good centre-back. He is a really good centre-back, and I do think we need one. We've the African nations, it's still not being discussed. I've not seen it anywhere, but the African nations is a thing this season. So we're going to have our European football campaign going on in the first half. We Premier League football, European campaign, then should we make it to the knockout stages, we've got January with no European football, but we lose Naif Agard. Obviously, Saeed Benrahma, Maxwell Cornet as well, but Agard will be a huge loss for us. So I do feel like we need another centre-back this season, because I think West Ham almost have to prepare for the worst case scenario, which is Kurt Zuma's injured at the same time. So do you want Kerr or Bona, and that's it? That's your only 2 centre-backs available for a month, at least a month. I think that's a very, very risky strategy. So I think we need to bring in a centre-back and assume that we're going to need to play him at least in January as well. So Jonathan Tah would be, it depends on the price, but I think it'd be a really good acquisition for West Ham. But the link just feels a bit too obvious for me with Steidten. And then the last one is Harvey Barnes. That link's not going away. But the latest rumours are that we will bid once Declan Rice has sold. I know I can already hear some of you saying it. Why are we waiting? I don't know. Okay, I don't know. I would like to think talks are underway with plenty of clubs over plenty of players on the assumption that Declan Rice is being sold. I would like to think that is what's happening with West Ham. Again, though, it's the Tim Steidten thing. He doesn't officially start until the 1st, or Monday's his first day. So are we just waiting for him to come in before we start the ball rolling? But that would then contradict what we just spoke about at the very start of the video, which is that talks are well underway with Juventus. But again, maybe this is why their sporting director is flying to London now to meet Tim Steidten. Now that he's officially started at West Ham United, we can now publicly, if you like, start negotiations with Juve over Zakaria. So we'll have to wait and see. There's a lot of whats and what ifs and maybes and whatnot. But the reason for doing the incoming video is because when we did the Paqueta and Kerr one, some people in the comments say, "Whoa, all these players been linked to moves away. Where's all the ones been linked to West Ham?" I think there's loads of them. There's loads. But that's on me because I haven't covered it, kind of thing. So some people will use this channel as their only source of West Ham news. Not recommended. Please use other sources as well. But there you go. That's your latest rumours for West Ham possibly buying players this summer. It's going to kick off next week. When Steidten's announced, these transfer rumours are going to go through the roof. There's going to be loads of them. And do you know what? There's going to be loads of players I've never heard of. I can't pronounce. It should be fun. But anyway, if you enjoyed this one, please do drop a like on it. Subscribe to the channel. Catch you tomorrow.